It's time for the live Burning River Sportscast. Raiders 20, Browns 16. We'll break it all down for you, well, right now. Welcome into a very special game day live edition of the Burning River Sportscast, presented by the fine folks at Tapin Media. I'm Kenny Thunder. Joining me today is the original Strawberry Blonde himself. He's Red Hot Ronnie Jams. We are boneless today. He's doing what we all should be doing, which is spending time with our family, not watching the Browns. But back to Red Hot, where can our listeners find the dopest dope they ever heard on a podcast, as well as the unofficial podcast of Cleveland Browns backers everywhere?
You know, you said I'm Ronnie Jams, but I'm actually just embarrassed. You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. The only place that you can find our video podcast, that is the podcasts that are not live. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle for all those socials is at Burning River Sportscast, and we're on X at Burning River Pod. While you're at it, check out our gear, www.thetapinmedia.com/shop. Obviously, you're wearing a bag on your head because we're so embarrassed. So that shirt's definitely going in the shop this week. I didn't get to it last week, but it's going in this week. So
excellent.
But besides that, you got your river gear, Chubb gear. Hope to God he comes back sooner rather than later. And your Brook Park Browns gear. But before we get started, quick shout out to our sponsors, Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, an award-winning craft distillery located in Akron, Ohio. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Towpath Distillery, now available locally and in 46 states. Visit towpath-distillery.com to place your order online or find an OHLQ retailer near you. Towpath Distillery, handcrafted, award-winning, small batch, local, and family-owned. And then True Fan Travel, they make away games, home games. They actually went out to Las Vegas today. I don't know if everybody saw the fans in the stands. A lot of them just came on their own, but a lot of them came with True Fan Travel. A lot of events that were planned around that. They did a lot of cool things with the Browns. And we are going with True Fan Travel to New Orleans later this year. So hopefully that's a different outcome. Because if we lose we're probably going to lose to New Orleans. Who am I kidding? But we're going to have a good time. Included in that event is an optional round trip, private charter flight, 3-night stay at Renaissance, New Orleans, Père Marquette, French Quarter, welcome party, which is an all-inclusive river cruise down the Mississippi River with the dog pound, Q&A with Kevin Mack, probably some autographs as well, pep rally, tailgate, tickets to the game at the Superdome, which is where the Super Bowl will be this year, on-site trip coordinators to help out with anything that arises. So get your tickets. It's going to be a good time. Now, today on this show, this is what you can look forward to. We're going to recap the Browns game against the Raiders, give you our initial reactions, how we're feeling about the Browns at this point, which I can already tell you is not good.
Not good.
And so, yeah, I mean, we're live, but we're very, very sad. So let's just go ahead and get us started by reminding everybody to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline.
Hot Take Hotline.
Don't forget to call and leave your takes on the Hot Take Hotline. Remember, these are hot takes. We want hot takes. We want hot takes.
We need hot takes.
Yeah,
there's got to be some hot takes out there after today.
Yeah, we know you're pissed off. If you're not pissed off, you don't have a heartbeat, and you don't root for the Browns. The phone number to call there is 330-227-8080. Again, that's 330-227-8080. Call now. We'll put those on the air, and we'll play those, or you can leave a comment for us, and whatever we see, we'll read on the air here. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's get into the Week 4 recap. Who we starting with here?
I'm taking this off. I can't breathe.
You can't do anything?
I can't breathe.
Can't breathe. You probably should suffocate yourself because...
Thank you.
You know?
Would it be better than watching the Browns?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. I mean, I'm running out of words to describe the pain and the anguish that we feel as Browns fans, because remember, this is a team that we came into the season with legitimate like Super Bowl aspirations, according to not just like Cleveland Browns fans and hopefuls. You had Shannon Sharp out there picking the Browns to go to the Super Bowl.
The roster got better.
It's
the same roster from a playoff team a year ago, and it got better.
It got way better. Yet somehow here we are, just as ass as ever.
More ass than ever. This feels bad. This feels like 1-31 Browns. I
Well,
mean, the thing
here's
is,
the thing. So about the 1-31, I just gotta, I posted the video of Bone from our from last week's episode, just talking about how this is as low as he's ever felt as a Browns fan. And someone commented on it today and or left a post on X and said, "What do you mean? We went 1-31. Do you not remember that?" And I just came back to him. I said, there was no expectations on that team. It was a complete rebuild. Nothing was going on. We knew they were going to be bad. This team had Super Bowl expectations.
well, yeah, the whole point of 1-31 was that they were building this team.
Yeah. They told us up front, they said it's going to be bad the next couple of years, but it's going to be good eventually.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, big difference between that team and this team because, yeah, the expectations make it that much worse. And I'm with Bone. Like, I feel so bad watching this team.
I was just scrolling through Twitter, and obviously it's ablaze right now. I don't remember who it was. Might have been
Burn it all
Ken.
down.
Might have been Ken Carmen. Put it really succinctly. He wrote that no one did more with less in 2023 than the Browns.
Yeah.
No one has done less with more this year than the Browns.
Yeah, and I mean
which just feels like the encapsulation of everything we've witnessed to this point at 1-3 on the season.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess we can run through things here. We'll start with the quarterback because, obviously Deshaun Watson and everything that comes with him. You always got to start with the quarterback. That's where it starts and ends with this team. Today he played about as efficient as he could. But I mean, is that as good as we're going to get out of Deshaun Watson? Because sure, his completion percentage was super high, right? But he threw for like 178 yards.
Yeah, let me give you this because I'm the probably the most critical person on the show on Deshaun Watson. Like, Deshaun Watson is not the reason you lost today. I will admit that. Like, he's not the reason you lost, but he also wasn't the reason you won.
You had a chance to win.
This is as good a Deshaun Watson as you're going to get. So drink it all in, Browns fans. This was optimal performance from what Deshaun Watson is now. He was efficient with the ball, but again, did not exceed 200 yards throwing the ball. He had 2 chances to win game-winning drives, and those flared out. Again, not blaming the whole game on Deshaun, but the whole story of Deshaun is he was the guy that was supposed to overcome this. He had transcendent skill. He was supposed to cover up the ugly and the glaring mistakes. And there was plenty of ugly and plenty of glaring mistakes. And Deshaun, once again, was not able to overcome those to win a game. I honestly feel bad for him this time out because he's got so much flack this year just for playing poorly. And this was the one game that he played. Again, this is as good as he can do. I'll give him, like, he played as well as he can possibly play today, and the team probably let him down, the cast around him. But again, that being said, like, for $230 million, this was a guy that you expect. Last week, 3 chances to lead a game-winning drive. This week, at least 2 chances to win a game-winning drive, and out of those 5 drives, you have nothing.
Yeah, it was just. Here's the thing, too, is people. As well as people are going to come out and say that Deshaun played and he's not the reason we lost and everything. We didn't convert a third down between the very first drive and the very last drive.
Right.
Like, at all. We didn't convert a single third down. And I know that's not all Deshaun, but he's a part of that. I think a lot of that does go to Ken Dorsey and the fact that he's just god awful. We need to get rid of him as soon as possible.
Look, like, I was at break glass in case of emergency last week because I'm looking at going your chances of making the postseason at 1-3 are 14%. So I didn't want to get to this point where you're 1-3. Like, look, this team is apathetic across the board, and I don't know if it's because they've lost faith in Stefanski or they just know they're not going anywhere special with Deshaun at quarterback. But like, they look disinterested, they're undisciplined, all the things we said on the show last week, right? Like, this team, just look at the body language of this team on the sidelines. You got guys lounging back with their arms out like this, their heads down. You know what they look like? They look like bad bowlers who are drunk. That's the amount of like I don't care that is going on. And you know why bowlers look like that? It's because they don't care. They don't care that they're bad bowlers. But like that's what they look like is a ragtag group of guys that doesn't have any idea how to bowl. And I mean it's the pre-snap penalties again. Guys like Amari Cooper not getting set at the line of scrimmage before the play. That's also on Deshaun not making sure his guys are ready to go. Um, but yeah, like Amari is a vet. He's 30 years old. He knows better, right? Like you got to get set
Yeah.
before the snap. I watched Greg Newsome on the touchdown on the end around, the old Kevin Stefanski end around that gave us. Greg Newsome got blocked for 14 straight
Is
seconds on that play.
is that
Never
why
attempted to
Kevin
shed the
Stefanski
defender.
is that why Kevin
He
Stefanski keeps running it? Is because our offense or our defense can't stop it? He's like, this has to be a good play.
Maybe, but like I said, like I'm watching a guy like Greg Newsome, a guy that we count on, that we believe has skill and is a good player, get blocked for 14 straight seconds, not making an attempt to shed the tackle, and ends up out of the field of play. He was blocked like in the blind side when they threw the kid out of the stadium. Like he was blocked out into the chalk. Like you're the contain guy. If you're out of bounds, you're not containing anything.
No, that's the opposite of contain.
And it's just across the board on all levels. I mean, shoot, you got Dustin Hopkins out there missing extra points. How many
Jesus,
extra points has
man.
Dustin Hopkins made in his entire life? Like those are those automatic kicks, right? But it's the total and complete apathy of this team right now that is not a team. It's a bunch of individuals. I don't know where this thing got off the tracks from last year. Maybe there was just so much unity and belief in like the underdog component of like, hey, we went through DTR and we went through PJ Walker and then Flacco kind of like put a bow on everything and was like, I'm here to save the day, and rallied the troops. But like, there's no rallying going on here. This team just
No.
looks like they don't care, and they'll have the moments like the fumble return for the touchdown where you get up for a second and you're like, yes, this is it, and then Dustin Hopkins shakes the field goal. Like this team has no just no like stick to itiveness, no tenacity, no togetherness. And you
Mm-mm.
have to have that on good teams. Like this team right now is just not a serious football team. They're just not a serious football team.
No, and I just look at it like again, we go back to the fact that before the season started, there was Super Bowl aspirations. Like this, forget about Super Bowl. Like this team can't even play together. They're not even middle of the pack. Like this is possibly the worst team in the NFL right now.
This team has first pick overall aspirations right
Like,
now.
yeah, like they're still alive.
I mean,
It,
we are 4 weeks in, and we're talking about needing a Browns holiday, and we're talking about the draft for a team that, like you said, had literal deep postseason aspirations.
like Super Bowl, I guess, is a little strong, but I mean, again, Shannon Sharp picked them to go to the Super Bowl, so
Yeah, at least to the AFC Championship game. I mean, geez, you get there and you see what happens. Um, but this team is just a disappointment on every level. And again, so going back to the whole point of my little spiel there was, I was there a week ago. I was saying you can't go 1-3. 1-3 is a death sentence to the team. If this team doesn't, if they don't make a change this week, and it could be a change at quarterback, or it could be the firing of Ken Dorsey, like something needs to happen to show the rest of this group, the rest of this locker room, that like what we're doing right now, the product we're putting out on the field isn't good enough. To me, I mean, Ken Dorsey seems like the easy scapegoat. This offense has never looked worse. They can't score more than 16 points a game, which is why I correctly predicted the score of 2016
you
this
did
week
good job.
because
I
uh,
would have, but Dustin Hopkins missed an extra point, so
but we can't score more than 16 points in a game. So this team is just awful
it's
across the
so bad.
board.
And
And they need to make a statement. And to me, it's like Ken Dorsey should be gone tomorrow. Whatever was broken in this offense, they didn't fix. They made it worse. Like go back to last year's offense. Just go back. Just go back. Just go back. It can't
yeah,
be worse. It can't be
with
worse.
with Ken Dorsey, if not being able to score 20 points in the first 4 weeks uh doesn't scream for his firing, I don't know what will. Because here's the other thing is all four of those teams that we played currently giving up over 20 points per game.
Yeah. Right.
So
This was the
they average giving up 20 points per game, and we haven't been able to score 20 on any of them.
this was the easy part of your schedule, right? Like this was the teams that you said, like out of all the games we have, these are the kind of handful that we should be pretty successful in. You haven't played the division game yet. You haven't played the Chiefs. You haven't played, I guess, like Miami's out now because two is down. Um, but like you haven't played really good teams yet. Shoot, what the Raiders came in today was 1-2, just like you. They're not good. They
Well,
didn't
and then
even know who their quarterback was going to be this week.
and
And they chose to go with Gardner Minshew. We literally went out and lost to the NFL's version of Joe Dirt. Like that's what we lost to today. Like that's the guy.
I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. You know, you can't have no in your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I mean, here's the deal: as you mentioned it, this was supposed to be the easy part of your schedule. Well, guess what? Washington's looming, and they have what's his name down there, Jaden Daniels or whatever, and he can play, and we're in trouble because
Washington did not look like a team early on in the season, and over the last 2 weeks, it's like the whole thing clicked for Jaden Daniels. He is absolutely a force. I worry about the volume that they run him, whether or not he'll stay healthy, a la like RG3. Hate to make that comparison because he played there, but like
that's scary.
That's the kind of usage he's getting. So, but the thing is, he's been so successful throwing the ball out of the pocket the last 2 weeks. Maybe they'll get away from some of the running for him because he looks amazing right
Just
now.
in case anyone was wondering, Washington scored 42 today.
Yeah.
They scored 42 today. And the Browns played one of the worst teams in the league, a team that was averaging 49 rush yards per game, and they just gave up what is it here? 100 and where'd it go? They gave up 152 rush yards to a team that was averaging 49.
Dead last in the league in rushing. We gave up 152 rush yards.
So don't sit here and tell me that that it's all the offense and the defense has nothing to do with it. The defense is playing just as bad as, maybe not just as bad, but they're playing their fair share into this thing of, if the defense was what they were last year, we'd probably be okay in a couple of these games.
I'll say they're playing just as bad as it's today. They played just as bad as the offense.
They're so bad.
This was the worst game I've seen them play. I mean, Jim Schwartz has to be furious. I mean, I don't know how. Again, you take the same roster of capable guys,
and it got better.
Trust and you get better in the offseason, and you're worse, like tangibly worse.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and so I mean,
incredibly frustrating.
Here's what I would say is to Kevin Stefanski, because Kevin Stefanski on the coaching side of things is the one that runs this whole thing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he the blame game should start and end with him, right? I mean, he's the man in charge.
Well, and what I was going to say is he can't get sucked into what he got sucked into last year, or I'm sorry, a couple of years ago, and keeping Joe Woods around way longer than he needed to.
Yeah,
just because he's being loyal to his coach on his staff. Like,
I think that was when we last wore the bags, when every week we had to get on the air and say, "Fire Joe Woods."
Yeah.
Fire Joe Woods.
Don't be that guy this year, Kevin. Make, the bold, like you were talking about earlier, Kenny, make the bold statement, show this team, we're not a team that should be 1-3. When bad things happen and people aren't doing their jobs, there's consequences.
Somebody's got to be accountable.
Yeah.
And the thing is if they don't and they just continue to ride this thing, I mean, you are literally going to be in a conversation for the first pick in the draft, which maybe isn't a bad idea with Quinn Ewers potentially out there, Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward, some of these guys that are being thrown around right now. I mean, again, it kind of can't get worse, right?
I mean, at that point, do you do the double tank for Arch Manning?
You just wait until Arch becomes available.
Yeah, like he's the guy. He's their savior.
We go 1-31 or however long it takes.
We trade everything ever to get Arch Manning. If we're not the number one pick.
I don't know. This team is so disappointingly bad in every facet, and again,
like it's not even necessary to go through all the stats. Like I usually go through all the stats, but it's not even necessary. Y'all watch the game. It was boring. It was the piss poor effort on defense. We couldn't move the ball, and besides the first and last drive of the game, like it was awful.
Ronnie, you had 241 yards of total offense. How many quarterbacks are going to throw for that this week?
Most of them.
I mean, that was everything they got. Everything it's like they didn't get off the plane in Vegas. They got sucked into the Spearmint Rhino or something. And I don't know who put on the jerseys today, but maybe it was the strippers.
Which, yeah. And here's the thing is like, it's really frustrating seeing the apathy that you talked about with the team, the body language, all that. Like even DeJuan Jones, after he just completely let a guy run by him, he had to get a pep talk from both Jameis Winston and Deshaun Watson because he was just sitting over there, whatever. And who's losing the most out of this? The fans. The fans are losing the most. I mean, we just talked about and this isn't a plug for them again. I'm just saying you have organizations like True Fan Travel and just the Browns fans in general that are
they took over that stadium.
Yeah, they're sending Browns fans to Las Vegas in droves. So it was basically a home game for the Browns, and they went out there and disappointed us 1,000 some miles away from home, just like they do here. So
DeJuan Jones is another developing story that, like,
how do you go from being so good to a liability?
It's starting to approach on like irresponsible. Like, I don't know, just look, I haven't weighed the guy, but like, look at that dude. He looks like he's 30 pounds heavier than he was last year. There's no wonder he can't move.
Yeah, and I'm not.
He looks way out of shape. Like, I haven't weighed the guy, but he was already a big frame dude, and he doesn't look like he slendered down and got more athletic in the offseason. I know he was injured, but it's he, like you said, he's become a liability, and it's because he can't move. He's just stuck in one spot. He's got a wide wingspan, which is fine, but he's a statue there.
Yeah, and I don't deny that he probably has gained weight and he looks a little slow, but I think it's actually more mental with him. I mean, the play that I was just talking about, it was complete mental breakdown. He tried to block inside and the guy just went right around him. He didn't even try and stop him.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, did you eat up all probably eat up all the headlines and walked myself into that one.
Wow.
He ate up all the headlines about how good he was last year. And it's almost like he's taking the year off now because he thinks he's better than everyone. Because if there's one thing we know about, never mind, I'm not going to keep going. But yeah, I mean, I just don't understand. Like, how do you go from here? Like, you were the biggest steal in the draft last year. Like, everybody said that, to this year, and now you're a liability on the offensive line.
He was dominant in the games he played in last year before he got hurt. I mean, he was just pushing guys down. Yeah. Again, like, to do another blindside reference, like, that's what it looked like. It looked like a guy that was way too big playing high school football that no one could compete with. Like, he was just shoving guys around. Zach Zinter didn't have a particularly good day. I mean, when they were rushing 6 and 7 guys, I'm watching Zach Zinter just watch Deshaun get tackled. I'm like, you didn't block anybody. You didn't block a soul.
No. And the worst part about this whole thing is, like, the Raiders didn't beat them. The Raiders just played less bad than we did.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a good football team.
No,
they're not good.
And that goes back to my other comment about we're not even middle of the road at this point. Like, that's what we got to work to get to, and then we could worry about the next step. But this is a bad football team, and you lost to them not because they were better than you, but because you were worse than them.
I liked I don't know if you caught any Kevin Stefanski's press conference there just before we hopped on, but they asked him about the 4th down, and he said, I got to call better play there. I got to give him something. We got to come up with something there. You think, Kevin? Under a minute to play, and the game's on the line from the 18-yard line or wherever they were. Like, you got to come up with a better play.
Yeah. I mean, that was rough. And then this is the Browns season so far in a nutshell. Is we're sitting on
this is me in a nutshell. Oh, I'm in a nutshell.
A good joke. No, I'm sitting there with my wife watching the end of the game, and it gets to the 4th down. It's the game's on the line. It's 4th and goal or 4th and whatever, down there inside the 20-yard line. And she looks at me and she goes, "Oh gosh, what are we gonna do?" And I said, "We're gonna get sacked. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get sacked." And lo and behold, we got sacked. Like,
I didn't know exactly how the play was going to turn out, but I had zero belief that we were going to find the end zone
Oh yeah.
or convert the fourth down.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I knew
And
something bad was
again,
going to happen.
not that I'm saying our offensive line is good and this is all on Deshaun. I think it was bad play design in general. There's three guys bunched up on the left side of the end zone. And so you can't terrible spacing, but
Yeah,
it's not like Deshaun didn't have time.
He had Judy for a minute and just didn't throw it, and then took off running. And
well, that's what I mean. It's not like he didn't have time.
Done.
He held onto the ball for like 7 seconds or 8 seconds in that thing. So
I mean, if he would have stopped cocked and thrown it to Jerry Judy when he hit the back of his drop, I mean it would have been a gutsy throw on 4th and 3 to throw it in the end zone, but that's where they ran the routes to. So
yeah, I mean, how gutsy is it when literally I just talked about all three of them bunched up in the end zone? There was literally 3 guys in the end zone.
Yeah,
that's your options.
Yeah,
your only other option is to run it. And he was getting nowhere there because they did a good job of making sure they had a guy kind of spying him over on the left side. So
it's just so disappointing because this team is hard to watch right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like football is the one thing that like gives a lot of us joy and makes us happy, and it's also just now just a horrendous suck on everything that is joy in my life.
I will say this:
I really so bad.
I will say this: I really enjoy that we started doing these live shows on Sunday night, so I can get it all out of my system and feel good again on Monday to have our preview show. But I'll be honest, tomorrow I'm probably gonna be feeling pretty bad because I'm just gonna I think we're gonna lose again. So.
Oh yeah, they don't stand a. I mean, if they play like they have the last 3 weeks, the last 4 weeks against the Commanders, they're going to lose. They'll be 1-4.
The Raiders are a way worse team than the Commanders are.
And the thing is we're away in Washington and then away in Philadelphia before you even get back to a home game. So I mean, you're on the road for the next. I mean, this is a brutal stretch here where you're West Coast to DC and Philly all in 3 weeks when you're playing bad football. I mean, that's not good for anyone.
The only thing I could say is at least we're coming home to play the Bengals, and because even when the Browns suck, they seem to have the Bengals number lately.
I mean, I think the only silver lining that I can pull here at all, and again, this is I'm not even confident that this is going to make a difference at this point because this team doesn't look like a team. But you should get Nick Chubb back soon. You should get David Njoku back soon.
Yeah, they're talking David Njoku next week, and Nick Chubb, they're saying probably either October 13th or October 20th are the days to look for Nick Chubb.
But I just look at it and I'm like, this season's going to be over by the time those guys come back. I mean, what are you playing for at that point?
Yeah, I would, and honestly, I would assume Nick Chubb will be back on the 20th because that's our home game, our first home game. So I'm guessing he's going to rehab as much as he can, and they'll probably use caution and say, use up whatever time they can with him.
Well, they need him back sooner as soon as they can get him.
Well, yeah, nobody's arguing that. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned silver lining. I guess we'll try and pull something out of this. So let's nominate our guys for Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week this week. I'll go first. I'm gonna go with JOK actually. So far this season, he's been the most consistent player on the Browns. He's the JOK that he kind of he had his breakout season last year, and so since that happened, I mean, JOK is a guy we can rely on. He's always going to have right around 10 tackles, if not more. And he doesn't really miss too many assignments. He's in on so many tackles, and he really keeps the defense at least somewhat in this thing and staying competitive. So I'm going to go with JOK. Again today, if you're looking for his stats, I think he had 9 tackles today, a tackle for loss, six solo tackles. So that's what he did today.
He'd also had the tackle of the game on that toss sweep to the right that they ran, or off tackle right that they ran. I mean, he absolutely annihilated.
Yeah,
whoever the ball carrier was.
Between that one and the punt return when the dude just picked him up and threw him. I don't even know who that was, but I was just you heard all of the all the people that were calling the game at the same time were like, "Oh no, oh."
Yeah, when he cracked though on that off tackle, right? That was an impressive tackle because he just threw his whole body weight into him and just clocked him.
Yeah, they highlighted him right after that play in the broadcast and said, he's a new age linebacker because he's super fast and can get everywhere on the field. But then when he gets there, he comes with bad intentions, is what they said.
Yeah.
So,
Can I also just mention the commentating was kind of awful in this, and
oh, it's terrible.
it was. It's not so much like Ross Tucker, and I forget who else was on the call, but whoever was with them was really bad in
My
calling out wrong names, and
Oh yeah, and
I
my
don't
least
remember her
favorite
name,
thing
but
of the entire broadcast was the when Amari Cooper scored the what would have been 80 some yard touchdown, and they called holding and brought it back, and the guys are looking at the thing, they're like, "Oh, there's no way! How could they call this?" And I'm watching the replay, and I'm like, he clearly has a handful of jersey, and he's like pulling him to the side.
yeah,
Like, what are you not seeing? And then they showed it again from a different angle, and they're like, "Oh, I guess it was holding."
yeah. Yeah, I know. Like, I know that's going to be
Brilliant,
hot on
guys.
that's hot on Brown's Twitter right now is the phantom holding call. But guys, like,
It was a hold.
if that's what you're holding on to, like, it wasn't like egregious the whole time. Like
No,
he
at
he
first
did
he was
start
inside.
fine,
Sure, grab jersey
but
when you're inside, and he did. But as soon as they disengaged, he had his whole entire shoulder pad.
yeah. And the thing is you knew if you watched it was Nick Harris, right? So if you watched
Yeah,
Nick Harris, he knew because he did disengage, but he was slow to do it with his other hand. He let go of the hand that he had the shoulder pad with. It was slow to let go of his inside hand, and that's where the jersey pulled.
and let's
And
be
you kind
honest,
of
it
like
affected
everybody.
the play. It directly affected the play because
Oh
if
yeah,
he
because he
didn't do
clobbered
that,
Deshaun a second later as soon as he got
yeah, if
loose.
he wouldn't have grabbed shoulder pad, then Deshaun would have got sacked.
And I saw a bunch of people, a bunch of takes that were like, ooh, Baltimore's up 14-3 on Buffalo. I didn't see that. I saw a bunch of takes that were like, "Oh, would they call this on the Chiefs?" And I'm like, the thing is the back judge was standing right behind Deshaun when that all went down. I'm like,
Right.
pretty much any ref worth their salt when they see that jersey tug like that and two bodies that aren't in front of each other is going to call that.
Well, here's the
So I
deal
don't think
too.
that was. I don't think it was. Was it super unfortunate? Yeah, it changed the outcome of the game, but I don't think it was like a ticky tack call or anything like that.
No,
I thought
and
it was
here's
a
the deal
fair
with that
call.
too, with the Chiefs and their calls. Like, not that I'm advocating for the refs to call special for the Chiefs because I think that's absolutely abhorrent and ridiculous. Um, but the Chiefs have kind of, they've been good in and out. So I think what happens is they get the benefit of the doubt from the refs to say, now they're probably doing the right thing. Or
Sure,
when it's a close
everybody's
call like
human.
that, the Browns are ass. They know they're doing the wrong things.
Yeah, they're like if they scored an 80-yard
There's no
touchdown,
way.
something bad had to have happened
There's
here.
no way. But anyways, we got off
Yeah,
topic
yeah,
here.
we got off the
Dog
Burning
of the
River
week. My
Sportscast
pick
dog of
is
the week.
JOK. Who do you got, Kenny?
I'm just glad Bone's not here to steal mine this week.
Yeah. What a
Look,
dick.
this was something that I struggled with coming up with one because they were so poor. I almost would have went to Sean because again, I think this is as good as he could possibly play. But the fact that he didn't eclipse 200 yards and didn't lead a game-winning drive when he had multiple opportunities again kind of killed that for me. Nobody else on the offense really stood out. Maybe Jerry Judy with an honorable mention, but the guy I'm going to go
Whitehead
with.
or Whitehurst or whatever that dude's name was that caught whoever that guy was.
Yeah, Blake Whiteheart and his three
Yeah.
catches for 13 yards.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. That
Yeah,
was the best thing on Twitter today is everybody like, who's this guy?
yeah. But I'll go with, and again, this is kind of because this is a guy that catches a lot of flack from us. Is Jerome Ford? He only had 10 carries, but he averaged 5.8 yards a carry, which is well more than he's used to. I think 32 of them came on the run that set up the final drive there or so. But still, he put us in position to win the game with that little trap play they ran right before the
So
2-minute warning.
nine for 26 otherwise. I digress.
Yeah, so it's not great, but statistically he averaged 5.8 yards a carry, and he did add 7 receptions for 27 yards. So
That part's
when you look at Deshaun's numbers and the fact that he was able to be efficient all day, 7 outlet passes to Jerome Ford kept drives moving, which I'll take. It was a workmanlike effort. Was it special? Was it great? No, but it was workmanlike, and for that, I'll nominate Jerome Ford.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw another one in here for on Bones' behalf, just to keep our graphic consistent more than anything. And I'm gonna say Roddy McLeod with the scoop and score for a touchdown to keep us in the game. So
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that was the only play he made all day, but it was a big play.
it was a big one. So, Kenny, you got any final thoughts for this week?
God, my thoughts are just the fact that again, this is not a serious football team right now. Something is very, very wrong in that building, and they need to figure it out. I don't know um, exactly what it is because I don't live there, but they do. That coaching staff knows. They're seeing these guys every day in practice, and if they can't figure it out, then like I got no use for any of them. Clean the house out and bring new guys in because this is getting embarrassing to watch. It's you have an embarrassment of riches in terms of talent, and you're pissing it all away. And Cincinnati got a win today. Baltimore's currently winning. The Steelers lost a close game today. This division is the rest of the division is acting like professional football teams. And they're going to run away from you if you don't drastically change something soon.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
Yeah, and my final thought is in those same vein. In that same vein, we're now at the bottom of the division, just like that. So, in probably the toughest division in football, you can't afford to lose games to teams that you should beat, and we've done it two games in a row now. So, um, I think this is at the end of the season when we look back and we're like, where could we have made this up to get into the playoffs? It's these two games. And I know it's early in the season and you hate to talk like that, like it's over. And I'm not saying it's over, but you said it 14%. That's the chances to get into the playoffs at this point.
It's not good.
And when you only have a 14% chance to get into the playoffs, you need to beat the teams that are bad. And we aren't doing that because we're bad.
If someone told me I had a 14% chance of living, I would be pretty sad.
I'd be saying my
Like,
goodbyes.
this is the
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
So that's where the Browns are right now. They've been given the prognosis.
Yeah. So one more time before we sign off here, let me remind everybody to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Again, that number is 330-227-8080. Call, give us your hot takes. We want to put them on our show. We want to, you could also, anytime we're doing live shows that we do recaps every Sunday now after the game, you can leave comments there, but call the hot take hotline. We'll get them on the air. And we'll talk about it. I know people are fired up. I know you're pissed off.
Yeah,
Me
you
too.
gotta be. You can't have watched it, especially if you traveled 1,000 miles to Las Vegas to watch that dump. You got to be pissed off. So if you're in Vegas and it's still what time is it out there? Well, it was 6 o'clock or so. There's plenty of time to spend
7:15.
calling
Or
the hot
or they
take
left.
hotline
I don't know,
tonight.
6:15. I don't know time. I don't know what they do out there.
Dude.
But no, the only bright side for those guys is they're probably completely hammered at this point.
True. I wish I were completely hammered at this point.
Me too. I think I'm gonna go pour a drink here soon. But be sure to check out our gear, www.thetappinmedia.com/shop. And Kenny, that'll do it for us. What can we expect later this week?
Yes. So we will be recording our normal show this week that will come out on Thursday as usual. We will be previewing the week 5 game against the Washington Commanders. And then we do have Browns backers interview with the Washington, D.C. area Browns backers club. And if I'm not mistaken, we do have our defensive correspondent, John Hughes, joining us this week.
John Hughes will be on this week, correct? And I don't think there's any point in keeping it a secret anymore. John Greco will actually be on with us next week. So these next 2 weeks are going to be pretty good here.
Yeah, we have some special guests and good interviews coming your way.
Yep. And so check us out on social media. Tappin Media is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Tappin Media and Burning River Sportscast. That's this podcast is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast and on X at Burning River Pod. And you can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And that's it.
That's it. That's the show.
I'm gonna go drink my sorrows away.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully Buffalo can come back and put the Ratbirds away tonight. That'll at least make me feel good before bed.
you know the one good thing the Browns are, you know what they're good at?
No. Losing.
They're good at losing, and they're good at being the whole damn problem.
They are the whole damn problem. So yeah, don't just be a part of the problem. Be the whole damn problem, just like the Cleveland Browns.
And only you can prevent river fires. Burning River Sportscast.
Burning River Sportscast. Burning Rivers.
Oh,
Good night,
man.
Cleveland.
Good night, Cleveland. Good night, Akron.